Welcome to Beyond the Window, the podcast of Spring's Window Fashion's dealer business unit, hosted by Shannon Green and Julie Arford. This podcast is all about helping you think beyond the products and focus on skills, mindset, and strategies that drive real successes in sales and dealer partnerships. Julie, welcome. We've made it back to episode 2. We're here.
Hello. Yes, we made it back. Nobody told us we had to stop, so we're just going to keep making these things.
I know that was a very, kind of a low bar we put for ourselves, but we did meet it. So now we just moved the bar up a little bit next time. So that's great.
Onward and upward.
Onward and upward. So just a quick recap. So last episode, we were really talking about preparation. So, it was more of the idea, how do we win before we actually get into the call? Before actually getting into the dealer's door and such. So I did hear from quite a few people. I don't know if you did or not, but it was encouraging. People, the reps are out there thinking about what they're going to do before they get into the call the night before in the parking lot. And they're also working on their commitment objectives. So it's clicking.
No, I think it's been solid. I've had some great chatter. I mean, I haven't been obsessed with the YouTube likes and views as much as you have, but that's okay. That's okay.
We got a few likes out there.
It's going to be better. I just know it for episode 2. But no, I think that's the fair point because, okay, they're preparing, they're in, and then now what? The dealer's looking at them and they're ready to engage and have this conversation. And I think that's where we have to continue the saga of like, now what, right?
Correct. So you said the word right a couple of times, so I think you have a little something for us. Just let's take a serious moment here because I know it's usually fun and games when we talk. But
before we get started, I think it's really important here that we offer a formal apology to our listeners. Episode 1 contained what can only be described as the criminal use of the word right. It was excessive. It was repetitive. Our families were embarrassed. We reviewed the tape. We've reflected deeply, and we are truly, genuinely sorry.
And honestly, it wasn't right.
Right.
But anyway, so let's get today. So today, what are we going to talk about? Let's talk about questions, not just typical questions, run-of-the-mill questions, but really better questions. I don't mean like, I'm going to write it on a piece of paper and I'm going to script it out and be very robotic like we were in the 80s. More of the kind of questions that really makes that dealer stop and actually think and then, start talking about things that really matter.
Yeah, I think back to like when I ask my kids, how was school? Good. What'd you learn? Stuff. We got to have better questions so we can get better answers. You're right.
Oh, exactly. Well, the good news is today we're going to fix that. So let's dig into it.
Yeah, absolutely.
What, don't go too far. Don't pick up the shovel quite yet. So hang on. I had just a typical quote. I have a quote that I saw. It's a dealer won't remember every product that you showed, but they will remember how well you understood their business. I don't know. I saw that and I was like, that's exactly right. I mean, you're looking at it, they don't care about the products. I mean, they do care about the products, but at the end of the day, how much do you really care about them and their business? Right.
As an individual dealer too, right? And feeling seen and that you're not just like you said, robotically giving like the same approach to every account because every account's different. They all have a different mix of their needs and wants and ambitions. And so you have to cater that. So that's a good point.
Yes, exactly. So at this point, I have a few facts that I want to kind of throw in real quick. So I was looking at it and I was doing a lot of research and trying to figure this out because I want to make sure I present the best questions and the best opportunities here for our team. So looking at top performers, they use discovery questions about 11 to 14 times. So they're really diving in, asking tons of questions. The average performer comes in about 4 to 6. So I'm thinking, okay, well, that's a huge difference between the two.
Yeah.
But also when I looked at it, so high performers spend about 60% of the time listening and then about 40% of the time talking. But the inverse happens on the average rep. They're talking most of the time and listening less. So I found that very interesting. When I was kind of diving into it, go ahead. Sorry.
No, you're a great listener. Here I am talking over you. You're a great listener, and I talk too much, and I think that's why we're good pals. But I think this is even the best of reps talk too much. I mean, it happens. I'm guilty of it. Like, this episode kind of calls me out a little bit, but I am going to share something personal as we get into this, because I'm well aware that I am overly passionate about window treatments. Total window treatment nerd. I can't help myself, almost 20 years now. So I actually have a note on my computer, on my desktop, on my phone, and it's the acronym WAIT. Have you ever heard of this before?
I mean, I've heard the word wait, and so wait means what? In your eyes, what does the acronym wait means? Like,
yes, I got this from an author, Anne Lamott. Wait is why am I talking? And I have written it down everywhere, so that way I can just look at that and be like, shut up, Julie, shut up, and just listen. And I am trying to work on that personally, even as a regional manager with accounts, and just let others talk. So I'll go ahead and let you talk now.
Very good. Now I'm stunned. I don't know what to do now, since I was ready just to sit there and listen for a while. But no, I get no. Well, that's good. Why am I talking? That's important. Looking at it, diving into an average rep and our top performer, really what makes that, what's that true, I guess, dividing line at this point. So if you don't mind, let's kind of get into really, why questions matter more than the answers. I know that sounds weird. The question is almost more important than the answers. But, I don't know. It just seems like that is more fitting in this situation.
Well, I'm looking forward to unpacking that with you.
Okay. Well, very good. So really, questions, when we ask a lot of questions, it really puts that the owner in the driver's seat. So it allows them to really think and ponder, not just the simple, questions, like how's the weather, or anything like that, but more, diving into a little bit more. You signal that you understand. You're just not hanging out. You're getting to know them, their business, their pain points, and you really want to make sure that you're asking the right questions, but not just talking. Again, why am I talking? I don't know. Why are you talking? Let's figure that out. But at this point, it's the right question.
Well, you got to keep in mind too, like, they have vendor reps calling on them all the time, and it probably gets really old really fast. They're busy. They're trying to make money. And if you sound like every other vendor rep, guess what? You're going to get a share of the sales like every other vendor rep. So you got to really disrupt things and shake it up and ask those questions that kind of make them go, I don't know how to respond. I wasn't prepared for that. That's a great question.
That's true. And if they say that it's a great question, you're exactly where you need to be, because you're really making them think, and they're thinking about you and your presentation and what you bring to the table versus that competitor who said, hey, how's the weather? How's your business? Hey, what categories do you sell the most of? Again, you should probably already know all of that, but because why? In episode 1, we talked about preparation, right?
Yeah.
So you already knew what they sold, what they didn't sell for you. So you should already know that. The question just help give you a little bit further down the road. Also, it builds on it. So you're asking questions today. Your next visit, you can leverage those questions for the next time and to improve and to really bring a solution for them.
Lining up all those puzzle pieces. I always describe it like a crossword puzzle. As you learn about their financials or how they do business or whoever is on their team, you're starting to fill in little portions of your crossword puzzle, which then can help you lead down the road of like, well, if these things are true, then this might be true,
Yes. And the quote again for me, I'm just going to reiterate it. So the best top performers are remembered for their questions, not their answers, because your answers are kind of irrelevant for the most part. Not really, but they are. The questions really making that dealer think. So, well,
I agree.
Julie, I think it's our time. So we're going to bring in our guest. And so can you reach out and start getting our guest online? So I wanted to, we're excited to bring in today's guest on episode 2. So our guest has spent his career where sales happen. It's not in a conference room. It's not on a slide deck, but in the field, face to face with our dealers, watching reps win and lose in real time, As director of sales, overseeing both the field and inside sales teams across the dealer channel, Don Kelly brings the kind of perspective you don't get from a book. He's coached, through the moments that matter. And today he's here to really talk about that one skill that really separates the good ones from the great ones, the good reps from the great reps. So Don, welcome to the show, and it's great to have you. And
I'm excited to be here. I'm a little nervous. Should I be nervous right now?
Yes.
I'm like, I'm on with these two superstars now. Now I'm a little nervous. I'm like, wow, all right.
Calm down. It's episode 2. I mean, we haven't gone we haven't hit the stage yet. So
that's
we set the bar pretty low on episode 1. So, episode 2, a little bit higher. So
maybe a national tour next year. If you're going to fund it, we can explore that.
All right.
We can definitely. Just we need some better studios. We need to really, some better production staff, because my current production staff is pretty simple. So
and I need hair and makeup. So these are our demands, things to consider since you're on the call. We just throw that out there. So
exactly,
that's fair. Budgets are tight. I'll keep that in mind in the future, though.
All right.
Bring up the budget word. That's terrible. So Don, we're really just talking about questions, and really not just questions, but really how to ask better questions. I know you're out there in the field all the time, and you're interacting with reps, you're interacting with dealers. You see the good ones, you see the not so good ones, you see the great performers and the average performers. So kind of, if you look at that, really, what is the difference that you see between those reps that ask good questions or great questions and those who don't? And then, what is that? When you're there, what did that look like and feel like in the room while you were there?
That's a powerful question, because I think about it all the time when I'm out there, and I'm not there to evaluate how they're doing. We're truly trying to earn business, right? I think all of us as leaders, that's really the goal. But I think it's the thing that always stands out to me, the ones that are really good at their interactions and the questions that they're asking are the ones that understand that they're going to do more by being quiet than talking all the time, right? Their interactions, they're asking questions, but they're not asking a ton of questions. They're getting really deep on the business and where we're going and what we're trying to accomplish. And I think those are the ones that stand out the most to me, because they're not there trying to prove something. They're truly trying to discover what's important in the business. And with this specific customer, how do we partner to do more business together? And those are the ones that stand out, right? That they're comfortable in their own skin. We all know them. We've all been with them. And then you as a leader, when we're in the room with them, it feels different, because all of a sudden you can see the change on any dealer's face, right? A lot of times I see that they're all closed off. Their arms are crossed. They're not really smiling. They're not really entertaining. But once something piques their interest and value becomes part of the discussion, all of a sudden now they're leaning in and they're listening. Mm-hmm. You can just tell, and the energy changes in the room. And so those are the exciting things to me. And obviously I've been in a lot of meetings with a lot of territory managers at this point. And there's good and bad out there, but it doesn't mean that we can't improve and get better.
That's fair. We all have those cringy moments.
Yes.
Me included.
Yeah.
No, we do.
And to add on to that, and then when you can also say the reverse side of that, right? When it's not going well, either the sales rep is not asking great questions, or they're not asking questions at all. Right. That feels different as well, because all of a sudden now it turns to, if you're in the room with them as a leader, now you're feeling like you have to control the conversation. And that's not really the intent of us being there. It's the support and to grow the partnership. And so I think that feels different also.
Yeah, I like what you said, though, Don, earlier about proving yourself, like feeling like you have to prove yourself, because I think that kind of goes back to that, like building your confidence before even like setting the appointment, not just about like who you are as a sales rep and what you need to talk about, but also like building your confidence and the knowledge of the dealer's business, and maybe doing a little bit of searching on social media or their website or other dealer locators like Alta's, Hunters, but really feeling confident and like, I know my information and I know what this account needs to hear today. I think then you're less talky and more listening, right? Because you're confident.
Yeah, the preparation is important with any sales call. I think the more you know and understand about their business to start, I think that's key in success with those meetings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you brought up, asking the great questions stuff. So most of us probably realize that, or we anticipate, or we're in that situation, we see it. So hopefully we're learning from those those stumbles that we make or what have you. But why do you think the sales, the our reps out there right now, why do you think they just stay at that surface? Those surface level questions, they're just right there. They don't go a little deeper and a little deeper to find more information out.
Yeah. It's funny. I think we all do this. This is what happens to anybody at any given time of their career, whether you're a salesperson in a TSM setting in front of a customer or us at higher level meetings that we run into, right? Sometimes it's the fact that for one, you gravitate back to habit, right? What feels comfortable to you, right? That's where everybody tends to go. And so they're going to go to what they know the most. And so if they ask too deep of a question, is something going to prompt them to, there's an objection or something's going to come back and they're not prepared to answer that question, right? And so you stay at a very high level because you're worried, about that. And then I think on the other part, it's the fear of being uncomfortable and not really knowing how to control that conversation. And again, I think we've all been in it. I know I have. And there's times when you have to set back, and that's when the time to take a step back, understand what the question is and or the objection, and then how do you handle it. But the fear is real. And I think it's natural human instinct to go back to what we're comfortable with, right? So that's the way I look at it. And I think for a TSM, they lean into what they know, right? And for us as an organization, we've always done a fantastic job of training them on product. They know product. They can talk about the features and benefits. But in the end, if they always revert back to that, are they truly understanding and discovering enough about the business to understand what is their true pain point? It might not have anything to do with product, price, or programs. It might truly be about their own internal business and how they run it.
That fear is real, Don. Like, even as a regional, it's real. Like, you don't know what they're going to say. You don't know how they're going to react, but like, you got to get uncomfortable. In sales, you have to get uncomfortable, and you have to, like you said, when you jumped on this call, I feel a little nervous. That's good, because change is hard, right? And what challenges you changes you, like, period. And we should always be looking to push ourselves. If we stay in the comfort zone, your bonus check is going to reflect that.
Yeah.
You get what you put into it, right?
Listen, the other thing, Shannon, I don't mean to cut you off since this is only your second podcast. I don't want to be the one cutting you off the whole time. But listen, it's not a skill set. It's a mindset. And that's all this is really when we talk about asking good questions and being vulnerable and being willing to ask those tough questions. It has nothing to do with skill. It has to do with their will and their mindset of going into that meeting.
No, you're right. Exactly. And I think, we were at that conference a few months ago, and we had that comfort zone, and you're either one step up or one step down in your comfort zone unless you break that mold and really step up. Like the bodybuilder. I'm not a bodybuilder, as you guys can tell, but the guys that build muscles, from what I hear, because I don't know that for facts, but you have to really tear the muscle and then it builds and grows. So we have to step up a little bit higher out of that comfort zone, and then it gets better. So
you have to push yourself. Yeah, no, it's true. It's like trying to teach my kids at their age of 10 and 12 to talk to grownups. It's like, you go order the donut at the counter, and the kids are terrified. They're like, what will happen? I'm like, you'll probably get a donut. But like, you have to go have this conversation. Like, we have to be brave and ask brave questions and just push ourselves to the brink, and it will pay off, guaranteed.
Yeah, you get that donut. That's right.
And you get the donut. That's all we want at the end of the day, right? We're looking for the donut.
Exactly.
We want that donut, that special reward there. So, so Don, looking at it, so what advice can you give us as leaders, but also the team? How do we help adjust and change that habit, perhaps? What are some of the things maybe that you've done to help some of the folks that you've been interacting with in the past?
Yeah, it's I think any leader, any of those moments when you can find the ability to coach the sales team on what they do in the moment are the most powerful times, right? After the fact are always harder to coach because it's just the instance has to be there. But I would say for any sales leader with our territory managers, think about it in the sense of like we're guilty of going right to solution. I'm the worst at that probably. I want to get right to the answer. Here's what I know. But the reality is sometimes you got to slow down to get the answer. So I would say coach the team to say, hey, even if you think you know the solution, ask three more questions, right? How are we doing this? Why should we do this, right? There should be some pointed questions that get us more information because it's all still about the discovery of what their business is, what are we trying to accomplish, how do we partner together. So they should never go in and be like, I've got a solution for you today, right? And I always think about that in the sense of the number one question that comes up from dealers is what? It's around price most of the time, right? Well, we're not competitive and we're not, I can't compete in the marketplace, right? And the initial thought is to go right to, okay, well, then we'll just give you a discount or we'll give you better pricing. And the reality is we should be taking a step back and asking a question and understanding, is it really about just price? And are you feeling pressure in the market because either you're getting outbid for jobs, right? Your competitors are out quoting you. What's happening there that's causing this issue to where you feel like you're not competitive? So that would be one question to come back. But I would always say they should be prepared to ask those pointed questions to get us to where we need to be able to make a informed decision.
Yeah. So I had a similar conversation with a rep earlier, and my response is, well, that's just the first stumbling block they're trying to throw out in front of you. That's truly not the objection. That's really not, you haven't answered all the questions. You really haven't, uncovered really what their pain points are. They just do that out there. Oh, they're going to go away now, as opposed to, hey, really understand what it is. Because they know if I throw that word, it's price, you're too high, then you're going to run away. But no, the top performers don't. They embrace it and they challenge it, and then they ask additional questions, like you were saying, Don.
Yeah. And I think the other thing that I would add to that, Shannon, is, a simple phrase of, before you give an answer, let me understand if I really truly understand, right? Let me make sure that I understand what we're saying here, and then summarize what you think that the customer's asking for before giving them, because a lot of times what happens, you say something, they go, oh, no, that's not even what I was talking about. It's like, oh, okay, well, let's take a step back, right?
I've seen people jump to discounts and just go, well, how about 10% off? And they're like, oh, I just had a question on like what control type those came in, but sure.
That's very true. And I think about it all the time with, when I'm out and about, and there'll be times when a territory manager does a fantastic job of talking about everything we've got to give, right? Here's everything I have for you. I think you call it what, Julie? You say show up and what?
Blah, throw up.
Exactly. So it maybe not to that depth, but that's what they do. And by asking pointed questions, all of a sudden we get to an end of a conversation. And Julie, I think I was with you on this one. They said, well, 90% of my business is commercial. Well, heck, we didn't even talk anything about commercial the whole time we were there, right? It's a miss on our part from start with a territory manager to ask enough questions, even leading up to say, how do we direct this conversation? So I think that goes back as leaders. Hey, let's figure out who we're meeting with, what we're doing. And then that way, when we show up, we don't have to just give everything out.
Well, to your point, Don, like asking the questions, but then asking clarifying follow-up questions along the same thread is so powerful. And I think we all know that. I think we just don't all take the minute to feel uncomfortable and do that, because when you give them time to talk, they can share some pretty crazy things that you never even knew that could help you kind of like shift your positioning as a sales rep on how you can better support their business, because knowledge is power, right? And I firmly believe that every account, if you ask the right questions and you do enough listening, they will literally tell you how to go get all their business. They'll tell you. And you get the launch codes. You're the one like sitting there in the control tower ready to flip it. So you have to listen. I liked your follow-up question point.
Yes, I agree.
Are you laughing at me, Shannon?
No, I mean, it's
Always.
right. I mean, yeah, I know I could see you up there as a puppet moving the levers. Yeah, that was the first image that I had there. So,
That is
puppet master. So, but no, I think you're right. They just, if you dive in that next step, the next question, then again, the reps are a little bit more uncomfortable because they don't really know what the answers are going to be. But again, that's only going to make you stronger and bigger and better, because now if you don't have the answer, that's okay, but let's find the answer and get back. But then that also gave you're that much further along in the next on the next call, on the next process. You're moving that self forward over and over again, across the finish line and beyond.
You're getting stronger in your bodybuilding, right?
There you go. Yeah.
Building those muscles.
Well, build the muscles, the sales muscles.
You'll just have to tell me more about that bodybuilding thing. So still part of it.
We'll have Arnold Schwarzenegger on the next episode.
Yeah, that could be. So Don, any parting wisdom, notes, anything that you want to share that maybe your go-to best questions or anything like that?
Yeah, listen, I think it's come up several times on the town hall. I kind of mentioned it on the all call. How we show up matters, and what we do every single day, it truly matters. And when we show up unprepared and not ready for the meeting, it truly is just a sales call and we're just checking the box. That's not what we're here to do, right? We want to create value by having good business meetings that help us create long-term partnerships that's going to grow our overall business. So that's the first thing I would say. And then when I would say, the other thing I would say is, make it emotional for them. Anytime you can ask questions that now pulls on their heartstrings a little bit, right? Those to me are powerful questions. Like, what's going to happen to your business in the next 6 to 12 months if you don't do X, Y, and Z, whatever that is? If you're not selling more of Graber at this point, what's that really going to do to your business? We're going to help you be more profitable. We've got all the options, colors, styles that you need, right? It's all about setting it up. And so don't be scared to ask questions, right? If you get an answer back, you're not prepared, just simply say, you know what, that's a great question. Let me see if I can get an answer for you, right? You don't always have to have the answer. You just have to be willing to find the answer.
Yeah. But I think before you got on, we were saying that the questions actually matter more than the answers. So it kind of ties in what we were saying right before you got on. So it makes perfect sense in getting that emotional tie. Like I said, you're hooking them in. You got that fishing line out there. You got them. Ooh, you got them hooked now. And again, it's not a game, but again, you're genuinely asking and want to be their partner. I think that's what it is. At the end of the day, we're sincere.
And we don't need everybody to go out tomorrow and be like the perfect sales rep running the perfect sales call. But like when you're on a sales call and you want to get invited back for another one, think about the value you're bringing in that moment. And if they see you making an effort, if they see you start to shift and think more big picture about business development and less of like, oh, there's 14 color options, blah, right? Like, I think they start listening more to you. And now they're looking forward to the next meeting. I mean, the ultimate goal is to get to the point where they're like, hey, I haven't seen you in like 4 weeks. Like, when are we getting together again? Because you mentioned X, Y, and Z about marketing ideas, and I need to hear that now. Like, that is when you go from vendor rep to partner. Like, that's when the game changes. And that's the ultimate goal. So literally making a little effort, right? Would you agree, Don? A little bit of effort every day, right? Just ask one more brave question.
Yep. Hey, that you're spot on, Julie. And that's what I would say to everybody. Just put some effort out there. Care about your customers and how you show up. You're going to win. You're going to win every single time. So I agree with you.
Okay.
We know what we're up against with the other vendors. They're unimpressive at best. We're going to smoke them.
Yeah, we know our people are much better at this point anyway. So we're gonna outshine them. But now we're gonna out question them as well. So
hey, and our competitors do not have a podcast like this. I'm just saying.
No,
come on,
they don't. I mean,
step ahead.
Advantage.
They don't have fantastic guests that come on and give us great wisdom. So
exactly.
So Don, I appreciate it. Thank you so much for everything. Great information. What we tend to do is do a recap, and so we'll recap it. Then we'll kind of put some of your thoughts there for them. to kind of tie back into our action plan. But I appreciate it. It's great wisdom for being out in the field and hands-on with our reps and stuff. So appreciate you taking the time to be on the call.
Yeah, thank you guys. I appreciate it. Fantastic.
And Don,
Thanks.
before you go, do you remember that part where you said I was spot on? Can you get that in my performance review? That would be spot on.
I already forgot.
We have it recorded. We have it recorded. We're fine.
I'll send you the transcript.
All right. See you guys later.
Thank you, Don.
All right,
really appreciate your time.
Bye.
See you. Bye.
All right. So, all right. Well, it's a great call.
That
Great
was
information. That was good. So Julie, tell us about we have a brand new segment to our podcast. Only being the second one. Second one,
we're just gonna keep changing it up as we go because we kind of need a creative outlet, and that's what this podcast is about. So here we are. So we are going to take a moment to hear a word from our sponsor. All right.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not real, but we're gonna pretend like it is. Okay.
Okay.
So follow me on this journey. So this episode is brought to you by S1E2. S1E2 has been making window treatments move on their own for decades, and they'd really appreciate it if you told more people about that. They've asked us nicely, multiple times, please talk more about motorization for S1E2. Thank you.
Perfect. So let's motor down to the next section.
Nice
motorization.
transition.
So sorry. So anyway, so if we kind of dive into what Don was talking about, and we mentioned it a couple of times, we have surface level questions. So in my mind, there's 3 different levels of questions. So we have that surface level question, which is really just situational. Really, it's about sets up the framework and all of that. And then we have a level 2, which we're at that point you're going just a little bit deeper, right? You're going beneath that surface. You're finding really truly what's going on, and that that third level is more of, I guess, impact questions. Really what, like Don said, if you don't do this, what's going to happen to your business in 6 to 12 months or what have you?
Uncover the pain point. Yeah.
Yes. So Julie, kind of throw out, talk a little bit about just maybe some level 1 type questions, perhaps.
Yeah, like surface discovery, as I say, right? How's business? Like, are you getting a lot of leads? Like, are you hiring anybody? You get a lot of traffic in your showroom. I mean, they're comfortable questions, non-threatening, right? But they don't really get you anywhere.
Right. No, that is true. They don't really go. You just stay there at that top of that surface. And so if you're like a water skier, that's great because you don't want to go down, but you're just skimming across the top there. You're really not really going deep. So we want to do more of the submarine mindset. So we want to go beneath that surface a little bit more. So if I take level 1 and thinking, okay, well, let's go to level 2. So that's more insightful. You're really asking the dealer about their business. You want them to speak about it out loud. You want them to really see things they hadn't seen before. You want them to stop and go, that's a good question. I didn't think of that. Oh, hey, I haven't thought of that before. Or, you will really want to get them to really start talking more, really making them feel comfortable that you're really, diving into that partnership where, hey, I'm here to help you. Yes, I want to sell window coverings. Fantastic. But at the end of the day, I want to help you grow your business. How do I do that? That's why these are really so powerful. Sorry.
Level 2, I would say, is probably the most underinvested level.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's the biggest opportunity out of the 3 levels, in my opinion.
But
you're right. It's when they pause to think. Yeah.
No, you're correct. And so, level 2 questions should be more specific, right? They really need to drive in and say, okay, dial into something they said, or, you have some prepared, of course, in the back of your, in your checklist there, what you want to go over, but definitely open-ended, right? You don't really want them to, have a yes or no, because then again, that's back to your surface level question, but more thought-provoking, right? So
like an example I'll frame up for like a level 2. Like, what does that even mean, right? Because this is kind of a new concept we're presenting to these TSMs. So let's talk about it. So, like, where are you winning right now? Or what's a category that you feel you're leaving money on the table with? Like probably soft treatments. They're all terrified of them, right? So they are like, I don't want to offer soft if you're leaving money on the table. But I think one of the best examples is just ask them, like when you're on an in-home consultation. I mean, when a consumer asks about motorized options, how confident are you or your team in presenting those? Because I think that's where you start to uncover things. That's when you dig in.
No, exactly. So what I like, if I was thinking about it again, doing some research behind it. So I like asking the question, and then I pause.
The dramatic pause. You can be dramatic sometimes,
Yes.
Shannon.
I definitely can. So, but pausing lets them think about it, marinate over it. Not just like an average rep pauses for like 1.5 seconds. The top performers pause for 3 to 5 seconds. And that is so uncomfortable. That silence is just deafening. But don't rush in. Don't fill the silence. Let it go. Let it be there. Let them understand, and then they will start to tell you things they weren't going to tell you.
Yeah, I love a good overshare from an account. That's like, just get the notes out. Woo!
Yeah, let me write that down. Good gosh, let me write it. So anyway, so kind of a level 2 pro tip for me. So
sure.
You want to turn every answer into a follow-up. So what does that mean? Tell me more about that. Like Don was saying, what's driving that? How long has that been happening? Like how long has your team been uncomfortable with selling motorization? Tell me more about that. How much money do you think you've lost because of that, or what what have you? So I think that really is impactful if we really just take that few moments to let it go and let it marinate. And I'll stop talking so I'll be silent at this point. Let it go.
Yes, let it go. I think it helps overcome objections too. I remember a time where we had the objection of, oh my gosh, so many quality issues, just so many. Like we've had like 47 issues since January. And at that moment, we could have just moved on. But instead, we were like, right, but out of how many orders? Mm-hmm. And it was like 3% or something. I mean, it's not ideal, but it was like, you make it sound like it's all your orders. It's really not. It's only 3% of your total business this year. Like perspective, right? Perspective versus reality. And that's where getting those answers and listening, it's really powerful.
True. All right. So, level 2, I think we've kind of jumped in that quite a bit. So what's a level 3 question? What do you think that would be, Julie? So we did surface, we did a little deeper, going deeper than the surface. What's level 3 again?
Level 3 is like really connecting it to the bottom line or the WIFM, what's in it for them. Because I hate to break it to you. Here's a news flash. Okay. I hope this hits the transcript. These dealer meetings aren't about you. They're not about you. They're about the dealer. And I think we lose perspective of that so many times. The checklist, I have to tell them this, I have to tell them that. It's like, but do they need to hear it? Do they have interest in that? Is that particular thing going to help them? Or do you just feel like you're filling the void? So connecting it to the bottom line, what's in it for them? What's important to them? What's going to help them be more profitable? But let's go back to the motorization question I said for level 2. So let's like flip it a little bit. Like if your team felt more confident selling motorization, what do you think that would do for your average ticket? And the thing that I love about that question is you get them to say it, not you saying, well, if you did this, it would help your average ticket. You get them to voice it out loud. And when people say things out loud, it helps them believe it.
Yes.
So now they're part of it.
Yeah. Because again, at the end of the day, you let them come to that conclusion that you are their solution. You're not telling them, they're telling you, I need you in my business to be better. So, which is fantastic.
Sometimes it feels like we need a psychology degree to be in sales, because it's a lot of like the human psyche, it's like how we think and listen and experience things. But yeah, it definitely boils down to this.
No, it does. And like you said, it now that going back to your example of the motorization. So they said, well, how much money do you think you'd be leaving on the table? Okay, great. I mean, how much there? So that at that point, they're like, I could buy a new van, I could get a new person. I go on that vacation. You created more of an urgency right there for them. So they're like, oh, I can, oh, and now I'm going to, I need to do that now. You positioned yourself as a business partner without having to do anything. You let them come to that conclusion without forcing and going, you're going to do this, kind of thing, because that never works. So
no, it doesn't. It does not work.
Okay. All righty. So I think, one more pro tip. Again, I know I just throw out there a quick pro tip. I'm yes, full of pro tips. You are exactly right. So I think we need to just pause and ask one more question, one more level 3 question, one more level 2 question. Like Don mentioned, he suggested 3, but ask another question. Let that set for just a moment. Then one more time, let it set, be quiet, listen, see what they have to say.
Yeah, when you're feeling itchy, like you have to just say something, just wait. And you can now steal my acronym. Wait. Why am I talking?
Wait.
Just sit in the silence. I always even will play something in my brain just because it's not silent for me. And now that sounds weird, but again, there's that human psychology piece.
Gotcha.
Just sit with
You're
the
right.
silence.
All right. So let's kind of go, let's do a quick scenario. We kind of talked a little bit about it, but let's do a quick scenario. I want to take the easy surface one. So just so it's easy. So a rep walks into a bar. No, I'm sorry. A rep walks into a business. He says, how's business? Anything new?
Wow.
What's going on? Anything you need from us? And the owner is like, yeah, it's pretty good. Business is good. I don't really need much. So really, what does the rep do at that point? Share some product information, discusses the promotion. Hey, we got this new, launch of the fabrics. The visit's very friendly. The rep drives away. Nothing new, nothing changed. They spent 2 hours getting there, 2 hours to get back, and nothing.
And I want to pause on that moment just for a second, because this is something I know I've been working on with my team is well, I feel like it was a good visit. I feel like they liked me. Feelings. And I love validating feelings. I'm a big feeling person if you haven't figured that out about me. But at the same time, you need substance. And so if you feel like you have a good meeting, but sales aren't changing, maybe there wasn't enough substance, because that was weak sauce, Shannon.
Yes, it was very, yes, the Italian side of you would not like that on meat sauce.
Yeah, no bueno.
So, all righty. So what would be a better scenario B, perhaps, what would be better questions, thinking of what we talked about already today, what would be another scenario, Julie?
Yeah, I think trying to think of an example here, when a customer in a home appointment, they're asking about privacy in rooms, or how confident are your designers? Is that an area they sometimes struggle? And starting to drill into that. Mm-hmm. I think owners then start to come to realizations, for example, oh, well, honestly, my newer designers aren't always sure, and we've probably lost a few jobs. Whoa, you just stumbled into a pain point there, lack of knowledge, right? So that's where the rep can be yeah, that's what I was wondering. And, I have an idea how to help you close that gap. If you want, we could spend a few minutes on that. Now you're gaining their commitment to be involved in the solution, and you've earned the right. You've earned the right to be that advisor for them.
Right. Yeah. You're just not showing up. You're showing a value there.
Yeah.
You're really helping them. So that is I guess that is the difference between an average rep and a great rep.
It's reactive versus proactive, right? We want to be more proactive. Reactive.
Exactly.
You're going to be flat at best every year with sales.
Yes. Yeah. So Julie, it's been a good episode 2 so far. So what I'd like to do is maybe let's go away with a kind of a team challenge, kind of a quick takeaway, and then we'll wrap it up. Sure. And then we'll get out there and let everybody get back to selling and having a good time. So
awesome. Let's do it.
All right. So let's do this on your next, I guess next week, tomorrow. Let's figure out a couple of level questions. So I guess I'm being too not specific, I guess. So let's create 2 or 3 level 2 questions that you really want to ask a dealer before you go into that. Then let's look at, maybe 1 or 2 level 3 questions, really, rooted into how do I improve, how to make that better, really, changing the conversation, stopping, listening, but really, go prepared with a couple level 2 questions first.
Yeah, and before everybody kind of scrambles to write these down, we will be sending along with the recording, there will be a kind of like a 1-pager to help guide you through these. And it's something that I highly recommend if you're like, I want to get better at this, I'm going to really do this. You can print it, keep it in your car, and glance at it right before you go in the appointment, or even include them in your meeting notes, your agenda for each call. Like, let me just give a couple. You want me to go ahead and do a few level 2s?
Yeah, let's do a couple. Let's do a couple. I'll throw in one or so. We'll see what happens.
Okay. All right. So level 2 questions. What does growth look like for you over the next 6 to 12 months?
That is pretty good. That's pretty good. So if you could improve one part of your business right now, where would you start?
Yeah. Get them to answer that directly.
Yeah.
What about, let's see here. What tends to differentiate the jobs you win versus the ones you lose? Unpack that one.
Okay. All right. So here's my last one. You may have another one. So,
okay.
What would need to change for you to take your business to the next level?
Have they even thought of that? I mean, I think it's crazy how many people can be a window treatment dealer, but not all of them are hungry for growth, right? Not all of them are even want to grow at all. So I love right. that one. Next level.
Right. They're too busy running the business. The RTB, as you would say. So, they're too busy doing that. So they don't have time to think about the growth, and that's what you're there to help them do. So at this point, like I said, it's been a great episode. We had a great guest, great questions he came through. Julie told us to wait, which is fantastic. So we all know what that means. Why? But anyway, so I want to thank you guys for listening to episode 2. Again, asking better questions, getting better results, selling more, building those stronger relationships. So thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time on Beyond the Window.
Yes, and I just want to throw in there, I don't care how long you've been doing sales. I don't care how long you've been with Springs. You can still keep learning. I'm still learning. I'm not the best salesperson. I'm still trying to work on my skills. So I'm going to leave you with this line, and it may end up being our catchphrase. But
okay. I'm ready.
It's never, okay, well, buckle up, Shannon, because here it is. It's never too late to go from good to great. So that's my challenge to all of you, whether you've been in this role 6 months or 20 plus years, it's never too late. Step up your game, make more bonus money.
Right. All right. Thanks, guys. Thank you so much. We'll see you next time.
See you later. Bye.